Welcome back, student. Today we read the 10th chapter of the Environmental Studies Part 2. The name of chapter is Baji Prabhu and the Memorable Battle of Ghodkhind. Shivaji conquers the Panhala. Adil Shah gets angry. While Bijapur was still mourning the death of the Afzal Khan and the complete rout of his army, Shivaji captured the Panhala fort from the Bijapur garrison. This threw the Adil Shah into a fit of the wild rage. He could neither eat nor sleep. He dispatched another Sardar, Siddhi Johar, against Shivaji. Siddhi Johar had a huge army with him. Fazil Khan, who wanted to avenge his father's death, also accompanied him. The siege of Panhalgarh. Siddhi Johar was brave but ruthless. He was a strict disciplinarian. He laid siege to Panhalgarh and confined Shivaji within the fort. The rainy season was approaching, and Shivaji thought that once the rains came, Siddhi Johar would lift the siege. But Siddhi Johar did nothing of the kind. On the contrary, with the arrival of the monsoon, he further tightened the siege. Supplies in the fort were running out. Shivaji was in a fix. Since he could not force the Siddhi Johar to lift the siege by an open battle, he decided to deceive the Siddhi Johar by a clever ruse. He sent a message to Siddhi Johar to the effect that he would shortly surrender the fort. Siddhi was happy. Siddhi's troops were already tired of the long siege. They were very pleased to hear that Shivaji agreed to surrender. They relax the watch and indulge in the food, drink and music. Shivaji escaped from siege. A plan was hit upon the escape from the siege. Two palanquins were kept ready. One was meant for a Shivaji, in which he would proceed using a difficult route. The other would be accompanied by another person disguised as a Shivaji. This palanquin was to leave by the Raj Dindi. This other palanquin would be easily spotted by the enemy forces and it would be captured by them. While the enemy celebrated the capture of Shivaji, the real Shivaji would escape by difficult route. This was the plan. For this brave youth undertook this task. He resembled Shivaji in looks. His name was Shivakashid. He was a hairdresser in Shivaji's service. He was a courageous and shrewd. As planned, the palanquin carrying Shivakashid came out of the Rajdindi. It was a dark night and it was raining heavily. Still, some enemy soldiers were keeping watch. They captured the palanquin. They thought that they had caught Shivaji himself and took the palanquin to Siddhi's camp. Jubilations began in the camp. In the meanwhile, Shivaji escaped from the fort by a difficult route. He was accompanied by Baji Prabhu Deshpande and some select soldiers. The Bandal Deshmukh army accompanied them. After some time, the plot of Shivakashid was exposed. The furious Siddhi killed him then and there. Shivakashid sacrificed his own life in the cause of Shivaji and Swaraj. Thus he became immortal. When the Siddhi learned that Shivaji had given him the slip, he was livid with rage. Immediately he dispatched his Sardar Siddhi Masood accompanied by a big army in hot pursuit of the Shivaji. At daybreak, the pursuing horsemen caught up with Shivaji at the Pandharpani stream. Shivaji was now in real trouble. With the greatest difficulty, he and his men crossed the Ghodkhind. Baji Prabhu the Brave, the angry troops of the Siddhi, were fast galloping towards the Ghodkhind pass. Shivaji saw that it was impossible to reach the Vishalgarh before the enemy overtook them. He said to Baji Prabhu, Baji, this is a very critical situation. The road ahead is steep and the enemy is right on our heels. It is now impossible to reach the Vishalgarh. So let us turn back and face the enemy. Baji Prabhu understood the great agitation going on in Shivaji's mind, the enemy was fast approaching the pass. The life of Shivaji and therefore Swaraj was in danger. He said, Maharaj, you must proceed to Vishalgarh. Take a handful of soldiers with you. I shall defend this pass and will not let the enemy cross. I shall lay down my life in defense of this pass. If need to be, if I die, there will be many other Bajis to take my place. But no one can replace you. Our Swaraj needs you. The enemy will attack in a large numbers. We cannot hold out against them with our limited force. Please do not wait. Go ahead. We shall stop the enemy at the entrance to the pass. We shall not let him advance till we know that you have reached the Vishalgarh safely. Baji Prabhu's brave words and his sense of loyalty brought the tears in Shivaji's eyes. He was most unwillingly to sacrifice this gem of man for his personal safety. But he had no time to think of these things. He wanted to achieve his ideal of Swaraj. He fondly embraced the Baji and said, We shall move ahead towards the Vishalgarh. As soon as we gain the fort, guns will be fired. That will be the signal of our safe arrival. As soon as you hear the gunfire, up down the pass and follow us to the fort. Baji's defense of the Ghodkhind pass. So Shivaji left the Vishalgarh, leaving the Baji Prabhu to defend the pass. Baji made a low bow to the receding figure of Shivaji and then prepared himself for a battle. He took sword in his hand and stood at the entrance of the pass. He divided his company of soldiers into the small groups and posted them at a suitable points. The Mavlas took their position and collected huge boulders and stones to be used as weapons. The Mavlas across the pass were now a strong barrier in the path of the enemy. By this time, the enemy had reached the mouth of the pass and one could hear their war cries. Baji addressed his troops and said, My brave soldiers and comrades, be prepared. You may die fighting, but do not desert your post. Do not allow the enemy to conquer the pass, no matter what price has to be paid. So Baji Prabhu and his Mavlas stood at the mouth of the pass, firm and fearless, awaiting the enemy. The pass was difficult to cross, and there being only a narrow and a zigzag passage across it. At the other end, Shivaji was speeding towards the Vishalgarh. The fort was still some distance away, and it would take Shivaji at least 2 hours to reach it. If Baji Prabhu could hold out for those 2 hours, Shivaji would be safe. The Battle of Ghodkhind. By now, the enemy was at the mouth of the pass, where a fierce battle was in progress. The Mavlas, who were adequate at the use of the sling, harassed the enemy with showers of stones and boulders from the hilltop and killed many of them. The first batch of the attacking troops withdrew in a confusion. Another batch took their place. Baji Prabhu urged his troops into the attack. The Maratha war cry, Har Har Mahadev, echoed through the hills, and brave Mavlas cut down the enemy troops in the fierce and the desperate attack. Through the din of battle, they heard their captain shouting encouragement to them. Bravo, my lads, go ahead, attack and destroy the enemy. The second batch of enemy troops was also defeated. Shivaji was by now almost at the foot of the Vishalgarh. Vishalgarh was also besieged by the enemy. Shivaji fought through the ranks of the besieging troops and was on the last lap of his ride to safety. Baji the Brave. In the meantime, the battle at the pass continued unabated. Enraged at the defeat of his first 2 attacks, Siddhi Masood organized and dispatched a third batch of troops against the Baji Prabhu and his brave men. They surrounded Baji Prabhu, who fought with great courage. Though wounded and attacked from all sides with his body covered with blood, Baji would not withdraw from the pass but continued the fight. At the same time, he urged his Mavlas to attack the enemy. Disheartened by the fearful attack, the enemy again withdrew, but Baji was fatally wounded. He was hanging on to life just to hear the sound of gunfire from Vishalgarh. Ghodkhind became a Pawankhind. And then the sound of gunfire was heard from a Vishalgarh. Maharaj has reached a Vishalgarh. I have done my duty. Now I can die in a peace. So saying, Baji breathed his last on this historic battlefield. When the Shivaji heard this news on a Vishalgarh, he was greatly grieved. He exclaimed, Baji Prabhu Deshpande laid down his life on the battlefield in the cause of Swaraj. The Bandals gave a great battle. It was because of the brave patriots like Baji Prabhu that Swaraj was won. Their blood made the Ghodkhind a place holy in Swaraj. Ghodkhind became immortal in history as a Pawankhind. We pay our repeated homage to the brave Baji Prabhu and his brave men. Okay, thank you.